afternoon, everybody. It's indeed a real pleasure to have all these fantastic people here in this fantastic audience. This will be our first go at having an online event, which is, we've been organizing periodically at the Portuguese Association of Business Angels for the past year and a half. So we want this to be as informal as possible, although the fact that this is an online meeting with quite a few participants and more expected to come at this point, it does pose a couple of challenges that we need to manage in terms of opening the microphones and closing the microphones and so on and so forth. But I'll go to the rules of how this will unfold in a few minutes. So first of all, thank you very much for your time and your attention. It's really a pleasure. I just wanted to say a couple of lines about the Portuguese Association of Business Angels. What is it? It's a non-profit association that in fact caters to the early stage investment ecosystem in Portugal. We are always looking at the ecosystem and our associates and trying to find better ways to serve them and to make the ecosystem advance. So what is it that we do? We try to promote as much as possible this connection in between the investor community and the startup community and the rest of the actors, okay? In that line, we've been organizing since early 2019 regular events. These are monthly events. We call them Angels at Work, and it's basically something that we noticed that was missing. A networking part where people could meet people, and we mean investors could meet investors, startups could meet startups, startups could meet investors and all the other actors regularly without having a predefined agenda, and also bundling it together with a pitch event so that we could all look at new projects and startups would have a showcase where they could put themselves in front of investors and let everybody know what fantastic work they're up to. So we've been organizing this regularly. Again, because we're non-profit, we tend to organize it with a partner. This year, in spite of the circumstances with COVID, we've done one session in February before all the containment happened. And we've started this year with this initiative of Angels at Work Goes To. So the first edition, we actually went to the FinTech House this year. And what was scheduled was that today we would go to Católica-Lisbon. And we would make this a more sort of thematic session in terms of looking at projects which have been nested and have been building up under what Católica has been doing for the entrepreneurship ecosystem. We tend to combine these sessions with pitches that arrive us from our partners, such as is the case today, together with pitches that come to us and come to our platforms. So the Portuguese Association of Business Angels does have a platform. It's free for everybody who wants to submit their project. You can find the web address at apba.pt. In the first page, you will find there a place where it says submit your project here. And this is again another example of we'll have 3 projects today that come from the hand of Católica and one that comes from this platform in particular. So in terms of guests that we'll have today, we will follow on with Celina Cassis Moedas. She's the founder of CTIE, the Center for Technological Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Católica, and she's also Dean of Executive Education at Católica. We'll follow on with Silvia Almeida from BAUC, Business Angels Universidade Católica, and then we'll move on to the pitches. And without further ado, I will jump back when it's time for the pitches, because we want to make this as interactive as possible. My partner in crime for today will be Pierre-Jean, who will help me, and both of us will be the ones who will be doing the job of maître de. So without further ado, Céline, the stage is yours. Would you like, please, to say a few words about what CTIE is up to, and how do you see this initiative?
Thank you, Pedro. Good afternoon, everyone. Boa tarde. It's a great pleasure to be a part of this event. I'm very happy that we have this partnership with APBA. And I like that the Angels at Work goes to Católica. So welcome to Católica. As we speak, I have to say I am at Católica. So, you know, this is true. You are somehow, we're all at Católica in some way. So let me tell you a little bit more about the center. So the Center for Technological Innovation and Entrepreneurship was launched in 2018 at Católica with the support of the Patrick and Lina Drahi Foundation. And we have three main areas of work. The first one is research. As a university, we do research, and the center supports the research of three main researchers in this area, one of them being myself. The second area is teaching. We are supporting innovative methodologies in teaching entrepreneurship, and the pitches that are going to be presented today, I'm very proud to say that they are la fine fleur, the best of the best of what has been done at Católica. This is, there has been screening done from the multiple entrepreneurship courses at Católica through a jury from us, from the school, and we have selected the best project, and these are the ones that are going to be presented today. And finally, the third area of work of the center is to connect the students, the researchers, the professors to the entrepreneurship ecosystem. And there's no better way to do that than to bring Angels at Work to Católica-Lisbon. So, you know, the center is basically doing work in teaching, research, and working with the ecosystem. We have a partnership with Católica-Lisbon and many more things. What I want to tell you about is also about the project that are going to be presented today. So as I said, they are part of a stream of projects that took place in the last year at Católica. There were, of course, many more in 3 different courses, and these are the ones that were selected. So, you know, I want to thank you all for being here today, and I want to particularly thank the students who did the hard work and the exciting, you know, success of and who are going to be able to present their work today. So good luck to everybody, and let's have fun together. Thank you.
So I guess right now it's my turn, or Pierre, would you like to say a few words?
Oh, so Sylvia, so welcome here. Thanks for being here with us today. So Sylvia is the co-founder and the CEO of BAUC, Business Angel Universidade Católica. And she's also the investor in residence at the school, one of the investor in residence at the school. And the figure of the investor in residence at Católica-Lisbon is basically to meet with the students and to discuss, you know, about funding, ways of getting project funded, etc. So we have this figure at Católica that is called investor in residence, and Sylvia is the investor in residence at Católica. So Sylvia, please.
Thank you very much. So thank you everybody for inviting me to be here. Particularly thank you APBA and Pedro personally, and thank you very much for to Céline and Pierre also for thinking of giving a few minutes of stage to the Business Angels Universidade Católica. It's really my pleasure to represent this organization. We are a group of 25 alumni from Católica, different generations, and our main goal, our mission, is to support entrepreneurship that is born within the Católica ecosystem. We are very appreciative of everything that the university is doing. In my personal opinion, I think Católica is amongst its peers of management universities or business universities here in Portugal, the leader in terms of what they are doing to support and create a true entrepreneurial ecosystem. So I am the CEO, so I'm usually the face you see. We come from very different backgrounds. We have from the more technical background to the more business to consumer marketing backgrounds. And what we like to do is also threefold. We like very much to open ourselves and all our networks to the students or even the faculty that is creating their own businesses and is active in this entrepreneurial system. We also like to mentor projects, and we do that a lot. And in particular, me, who has been present at Católica since October in this figure of the investor in residence, I've had the chance to meet many, many enthusiastic teams and great startups. And it's really invigorating to be able to contribute to this freshness of ideas and freshness of initiative. And last but not the least, we are here to invest and to help these new projects come to life. Our focus is really on entrepreneurial initiatives at Católica, so we don't have a particular sector orientation. We look at basically everything that is born there, and we want to make investments that are pre-seed. So we are really part of the family and friends that can help these budding founders to bring their projects to life. I'm always available, and I'm usually part at this Angels at Work initiative, which I love. So here I am, and I must say also that I know a few of these 4 projects you're going to see, and I'm super proud of them. So congratulations, everybody, and I'm looking forward to seeing the pitches. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Celine. Thank you very much, Sylvia. And now it's up to me and Pierre, right?
That's
Pierre,
correct. Let's go on.
Let's go. Let's do it. So we have 4 projects that are going to pitch to us. The formats that we usually use is 5 minutes for the project, and then 5 minutes for Q&A. So what this means basically is that today Pierre and myself will have the extra challenge of asking some of the hard questions in case the audience does not participate. Okay, so I'm calling you all out. Please do put your questions forward in the chat, and we'll read them aloud and ask them. So the 4 projects that we have today, it's Block.it, Mango Up, Wait Later, and Worky. Okay, because we need to have some sort of criteria in terms of order for presenting the projects, and we are incredibly original. We're going to start with alphabetic order. Okay, so the first project will be Block.it, and then Mango, Wait Later, and Worky. So this is the order that we will follow. So how is it actually going to work? Pierre is going to control the slides. Okay, we found out on from previous experiences that it's a lot better even for the presenters to have somebody centrally in control of the slides and the projections and all of that. We'll be counting the 5 minutes. So it's simple. Basically, what the entrepreneurs are going to tell us is what type of problem are they solving? What is their secret sauce? Why is it that it's that fantastic team that is going to be able to take that project forward and what they're looking for in terms of investment. And then we'll have the 5 minutes of Q&A based on the chat, on Zoom's chat, which we will be controlling. Then in the end, we'll open up the mics for everybody. So this mimics the networking part of the real life event, and we'll let just the conversation flow when we get to that. So Pierre, anything else that I missed?
In terms of getting on stage, I'm just going to ask the people that will present the slide just to unmute and talk themselves. I will not unmute. So guys, every team will have to unmute and talk about the slides. And also please say, next slide, and I'm going to move on. So that's the two things I wanted to ask. I think we have a lot of interesting things to share with all of the participants. And I'm also excited to move forward. So I think we can start. Okay,
fantastic. So the first up is João from Block IT. João, are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. Awesome.
Pierre, we need the slides, please. Fantastic. So I'm going to look at the watch, and I think you're fine to go, João.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is João Lopes, and I'm one of the co-founders of Blockit. We're a Portuguese startup that develops the first smart locker operating system. Next slide. So you might be thinking smart lockers. It's actually a big growth industry. Just to give you a sense, in China, there's over 800,000 smart lockers placed for parcel delivery, with some companies having as much as 150,000 lockers of their own. But in the US, the market is still very underdeveloped. Just to give you a notion again, the 3 countries with the most smart lockers in Europe are Spain, Poland, and Germany, and together combined, they have only 50,000 lockers. Besides this, the smart locker industry is expected to have its highest growth by 2026. Next slide. So what are the problems with the smart locker industry? Well, there's 3 main problems. It's still very underdeveloped. It's highly fragmented, with having a lot of different players doing different things and no standard solutions. And it's also quite outdated technologically. Next slide. And why does this happen? Well, to give you a better overview of the current industry, there's 2 main players. The end user locker players, and these are companies that actively deploy smart lockers, and we can think of them as DHL with DHL lockers, Amazon with Amazon lockers, among others. And they usually outsource these lockers. So they go to locker manufacturers, which are usually old companies who have been doing metal work for decades, and they get the solution. Well, the problem is that these locker manufacturers are pretty good at doing metal. Sometimes they're actually okay at doing electronics, but they're usually very bad at doing software. And this is where the Blockit OS comes in, because we provide a plug-and-play solution. We remove the software development costs from these end-user locker players, which no longer need to spend a lot of money in consultancy software firms. Next slide. And this is the Blockit OS. The backend is where the most of the magic happens. Then you have a lot of interfaces like the Blockit's back office, which allows locker administrators to manage their smart lockers, the Blockit app, which allows the end user to control the locker, and our public API, which allows for third-party integrations with our software, which is quite important for corporate partners. Next slide. And the Blockit OS is a plug-and-play solution. It's compatible with most smart lockers on the market. It has advanced features that still exist in the industry, such as detailed data collection, payment and billing systems, and integrated customer support. Next slide. And here you can find our mobile app. It's perfect for B2B2C deals. It allows the user to control smart lockers, to find them, to pay cashlessly, among others. Next slide. And the 3 main use cases for smart lockers nowadays are these. Store and charge is quite obvious. This is the most normally used for smart lockers or lockers in general. People storing their items. You can find smart lockers for this purpose in train stations, metro stations, and other public places. Then there's item exchange, which is something we're pioneering at, which is the use of lockers for people to allow people to trade items without having to meet in person. This is very interesting for marketplace companies like OLX. And the last one, parcel and pickup, which is seeing the highest growth, and this is for parcel delivery lockers and also for click and collect systems for retailers. Our software is the first one to allow all these things together in one already built full solution that can be customized. Next slide. So why is this a good opportunity? We predict that the total addressed market is close to 3.4 billion, and the COVID-19 pandemic actually accelerated the demand for contactless service. Just to give you a perspective, in the US, 75% of retailers plan to offer a contactless order pickup point in the next 12 months. Next slide. And this is our business model. It's quite simple. We usually charge a one-time fee, a setup fee for our software, and then we charge a monthly fee like a SaaS for our software for each locker. Next slide. This is our founding team. I'm João Lopes, I'm the COO. My background is in computer science. Miguel Vitz is our CEO and he's from Slovenia. And Ricardo Carvalho is our CTO and he's Portuguese as well. Next slide. This is our advisory team and our current investor. I can give you some more details afterwards if you wish. They have great backgrounds and they provide a lot of value. Next slide. And this resulted in us having currently over 40 million in potential deal size and active leads in our pipeline. Next slide. And to give you a small example, I'm going to show you a case study from a current proof of concept pilot that we're doing with one of the biggest shopping mall operators in Europe. We're using our technology to create contactless pickup points for purchases made in the shopping mall stores. And this pilot is very important for us because it also allowed us to reach a revenue of over 1,000 euros per unit per month, which is a very good financial KPI for us. Next slide. And in our pre-seed angel round, we raised over 350,000 euros. We're currently doing a seed round and to accelerate our growth. And if you're interested in joining our round or just want to know more about it, let's talk. Next slide. So thank you for listening and feel free to visit our website.
Fantastic, João. Well within time, I must say. Congratulations.
Perfect.
Fantastic project. So any questions, please?
I do have one. This is Sylvia.
Sylvia, please go ahead.
Thank you. I would like to understand a little bit better in operational terms, where is your business? So I see that you've done a pilot. I mean, what would be your roadmap now, tomorrow and that?
Okay, so right now we're still doing a lot of product development. Our Blockit OS, we actually started as a B2C project. So we were using our solution for the final client. So we were placing the lockers on our own on the street and allowing people to store their items inside, pay through the mobile app and everything. And then realized, as we started to understand the industry well, we started to realize that there was a huge gap, and we felt that as well when we were trying to do our own lockers on the software side. That's why we developed our own software and our own IoT even. So right now we've done this shift to being a software for smart lockers a few months ago, and we're still doing a lot of product development. We're closing a few pilots right now, so we're in early revenue, and we have a lot of interesting deals also with locker manufacturers, because our go-to-market consists also of distribution deals with big locker manufacturers that can actually offer our software as part of their offers. And yeah, we're also in talks with a lot of locker manufacturers, really big ones, to understand what's needed for them to offer our solution. So yeah.
Thank you.
Great. More questions, please. I see nothing in the forum yet. In the meantime, while you write your, we have a question from José Vasconcelos. Fantastic. With how many locations and lockers and what percentage of use will you reach break even?
Yeah, so we're not really doing this B2C part anymore. So although that's a great question, this would be on a more B2B2C case. So for example, in this summer, you're probably going to be able to find our lockers in some Portuguese beaches, but we're actually just distributing the technology and charging for it. And the person who's actually exploring it is somebody else. But in terms of break even, a unit with $20, for example, if it has 100% usage during 10 hours, all doors filled, it can generate over 8,000 euros per month, which pays itself. It means it pays itself in 15 days, for example. So it entirely depends on the amount of usage that it has. Yeah.
Thank you, João.
No problem. Hope I was clear.
We have another question. What is from Diamantine Costa? What is the autonomy, if any, of the solution if the locker loses connectivity to the internet cloud backend?
Okay, so basically what we're currently doing, we did our IoT from scratch, and we wanted to make sure that we always have a plan B in case something happened. Basically, to start, our connection to the internet on our IoT is actually a SIM card. So it's a GSM connection, which is much more secure and reliable than some others. But in case it fails, we usually have the things stored, the most important information or relevant information in this case is stored locally. And the locker will be able to operate with minimum functions, which means that people won't be able to start using it, but people who are already using it will be able to retrieve their items, for example, until the connection is established again. Yeah. Okay,
any more questions? If not, I have one for you, João. So as far as I understood, what you're doing is a sort of licensing deal of the technology to the manufacturers of the lockers. Then there's another big effort here, which means that basically somebody has to sell the lockers to the train station or the beach or whatever customer wants to put the lockers in there for their customers in turn to use them. And I will ask the second part of my question as well. Do you charge the end user as well for the service? How that works?
Okay, so I can start with the second one. Those are great questions, by the way. It's very simple to answer. So we have a billing system and a payment system inside our software. So basically the locker owner can decide whether the use of the locker is paid or free. And if he decides that it's paid, assuming it's, for example, somebody who's trying to make a business out of this for themselves, they can pay through our app. In those deals, we usually take a revenue share of the end user payment plus the payment from the person who's actually placing our lockers. Can you repeat the first question though? Because I already forgot about it.
So somebody has to do the sale of the product, which is the locker with your application or your licensing deal to the end user who is going to make them available to the public.
Yeah, so in our go-to-market strategy, we have a few, 3 different ways of doing this. We have our outbounds, which is when we find somebody who could benefit from this service and we get to them and we say, look, these smart lockers could really complement your business. And we're talking about retailers here, for example, to offer click and collect automated systems. Or we're talking about gas stations offering this parcel delivery in their gas stations as an upselling opportunity. So this is where we take a more active approach. Then we get a lot of inbound leads because we're trying to create a presence online as being one of the leading software providers and just providers in general of technology for smart lockers. So we get a lot of leads from shopping malls. We get leads from grocery chains from different countries trying to create networks of smart lockers, and we usually engage with them. And then we have distributors, which are locker manufacturers who already sell smart lockers because as part of their business, and they would simply start offering our solution in terms of as their software solution instead of offering some other solution that they might, or instead of having to make the person who's buying the lockers from them having to develop it themselves.
Yeah, João, conscious of time, and because there's also another question, very, very quickly. What is the exact pricing for the end user?
Okay, for the end user, it's like I said, it depends really on what the locker administrator sets the price to. Our base pricing when we were doing B2C was 50 cent starting fee, and then 1 cent or 2 cents per minute, depending on the size of the door.
Okay, fantastic then. Well, we're out of time. Any questions? You can address them straight to João in the end. Right.
Thanks.
So thank you very much. Fantastic pitch. So now we go to Mango Up. Mango
Hello,
Up.
everyone.
Yep, we're here.
Yes, we are there.
Okay.
Hello.
Welcome.
Super happy to be there, by the way.
Great. The floor is yours.
Who do we have on stage? We have Raquel, Nicolas, and more, or 2?
And Marie.
And Marie. Okay, guys, the floor is yours. I'm going to be moving the slides.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Perfect. Okay, hello everyone. Today we'll talk about Mango Up. Can you go to the next slide, please? But before entering into the details, let's have a look at these companies. These are some of the most famous companies in the world, right? But they have something else in common. They've all been created by undergraduate students. Next slide, please. In fact, this is not really unusual. Yeah, thank you. This is not really unusual because according to the survey of over 200,000 students around the world, 1/3 of all university students are in the process of creating their own business. But this process does not seem to be really efficient, as very few of them in the end actually create the business. Next slide, please. We went after that deeper and created our own survey. And here was what we found out. So first of all, that's true that students have business ideas. Second, most of the students are willing to help a friend with his or her business idea. And third, we asked them to rank the biggest problems a student entrepreneur might face while creating his company. And here are the biggest problems: finding people with complementary skills to work with, take the first step, know how to build the company, and of course, get funded. We decided to tackle the first two issues. Next slide, please.
So we present you Mango Up, the first online platform for student entrepreneurs. We'll help them by connecting them with other students with complementary skills and offer a gamified step-by-step journey to setting up a business. Mango Up is about skills, community, and inspiration. We strongly believe in the potential of student communities, and we want to empower other students like us from the earliest stage of their ideas. Next slide, please. But how does it work? Let's see an example. On the left side, we can see Isabel, a business student with a business idea. She goes on Mango Up and creates a profile. Once we verified her university email, she's good to go. And now there's Paul, a designer, and John, a software engineer. They don't have an idea, but they're willing to be part of a project. And that's precisely what Isabel is looking for. They can now chat and team up to make their project come to life. But as you can see, Mango Up didn't just bring them together. By offering a step-by-step experience, we are the bridge between their initial idea and an incubation program and fundraise. Plus, at any time, they can always interact with the community by sharing posts and even by attending webinars. Next slide, please. So Mango Up will have a freemium model. Everyone can sign up for free and connect with fellow students. But our premium users will unlock our advanced profile search engine as well as our step-by-step guide for just €6 a month. We'll also have a corporate plan in which for €500 a month, universities can provide premium access to 100 of their students. Next slide. Now, when it comes to our future prospects, we've estimated that we need €80,000 to start Mango Up, and we plan to reach 240 premium users in 6 universities by year 1. And by the second year, we'll have reached 3,000 premium users in 50 universities. Our main expenses will be building and designing the platform, marketing and sales, and we also plan to grow the team by next year. Next slide.
Mango Up will start in Portugal, but next year we will expand to France and Germany and later to Europe in general. Our strategy to get people on board is based on leveraging student ecosystems. We will start with universities and associations to promote Mango Up. Furthermore, we count on a very powerful channel, word of mouth, with the help of social media and crowdfunding. Next slide, please. There is already traction for Mango Up. 60% of the people we surveyed would like to share their ideas with other student entrepreneurs. 79% would search for a co-founder among other students, and 80% are willing to pay for a subscription fee. Next slide. Our team has been a family since day one, and we are really passionate about what we do here. Raquel looks out for the community, Nicolas manages the business development, and I am in charge of the product. And we are also currently looking for a web developer to join our team. Next slide. But now, help us to take the next step. This year, we've already been awarded the Best Entrepreneurship Project at Católica. We are looking for a pre-seed investment of 80K to set up and for mentors who are willing to help us develop and grow Mango Up. We want to understand the requirements for potential investments, and since we've made recently important decisions for our personal life, such as rejecting already existing job opportunities, we are completely ready to work full-time for the realization in the coming weeks and months. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, and well within time, I believe. Questions, please. Any questions in the forum, please? If not, I have one of my own. Have you considered other revenue streams that could come, for example, from the fact that you're sort of a pre-incubator and you're actually matchmaking people in order that, so that they can create their own startups, which could then engage later with the rest of the ecosystem?
Not necessarily. We have definitely thought of other revenue streams, maybe not in that sense. But what we're thinking of is partnering with maybe other incubation, like not other, but actual incubation programs and accelerators, because we'll put these new startups in contact with them.
Exactly, and that's very valuable.
Yeah.
So there might be another revenue stream there for you.
Yeah, we believe there's a lot of potential for partnerships. For example, we also want to have a page with like tool providers, for example, a website builder or some other tools for maybe building a business model, Canvas, etc. So we're really working on the partnership part, actually.
Fantastic, fantastic. That's a very good idea. More questions, please. Anybody else has more questions in the forum, please? Pierre, anything from your side?
Yes. So thanks, Raquel, Nicola, and Marie for the pitch. In terms of the choice that you made for putting the students together and to get into a community to help the people together and to build the teams. Did you guys think about things like gamification or badges, or people will come in, will jump into a project? If, for example, if I want to look for an expert, how do I know that there is a guy in the platform that is actually an expert? How did you or are thinking of doing that?
So we're thinking of betting really on the student community part first. So mentorship is something that we've thought of, but it's also something that exists a lot in the market already. So right now we're focusing on gamifying this journey by basically creating these levels which have very specific steps that they need to take, for example, to build their MVP or their, I don't know, market strategy. And so they can level up and they can also connect with other people, like other groups that are also in the same level, so that we create this sort of community in which they can talk to other people that are going through the exact same thing and not just with mentors. And yeah, we're looking into like having a badge for each level that they can even share outside of MangoUp, for example, LinkedIn.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Great. So now we have some activity in the forum. You have two comments, which I'll make first, and then we go to the questions. One is from Rui, who says, "Great idea, great pitch, thank you." So you're setting the mood, and you have João Lopes as well, who says, "As a dropout startup founder, I think this concept is great. Validation." So it seems like you're on to something. Question from C. Souza. Who are your competitors?
I can jump in on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please.
Sorry, I've been disconnected a bit earlier. So there is very few people active on the pre-incubation market. A lot of people active in the incubation market, usually much more expensive, much more tricky to enter these programs. And for the programs that are incubation programs online, they are usually much more expensive. So that means I'm thinking about, for example, Bridges for Billions. It's 150 euros a month for 3 months. So we don't want to compete with these people. We want as well to target only students and recent graduates, which means young entrepreneurs. So the competitors would be more like entrepreneurship centers the university could have, but there is like There are some other platforms as well, especially in Asia. But for what we've seen so far, it's not working very well, because we've registered on the platform two months ago in order to see what's happening on this platform. Okay, I hope it answered the questions.
Okay. You have another question, lightning fast, and somebody who says if you need help on the gamification part, please connect to him. It's Tiago Perdigão. The question is from José Vasconcelos. In your model, when will you become profitable? How many individual subscribers? How many universities? So it's a sort of a economics question. Have you thought about the break-even point? Very quickly, please.
Yes. So very quickly, according to our financial projections, we will break even on the month 20. So which means when we reach 32 units and 1,300 students.
Okay, fantastic then. Great work. Keep on. We need more people in the ecosystem, that's for sure. So now we don't want to make them wait, because we have wait later.
Yes, hello. Thank you. So great to be here.
Hello.
Go right ahead, please.
So on stage we have Michelle and Pia, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. So the floor is yours.
Thank you.
So we have a couple of questions for you. Have you ever had to wait a long time in a doctor's practice? How many hours of your life have you approximately spent like that? And did you enjoy the time, or would you rather have been somewhere else? Next slide. A few weeks ago, I was feeling awful and I had to go to the doctor. So I had an appointment, but I still had to wait another hour. And on top of that, I had to wait in a room with coughing people, not knowing if they had corona or another infectious disease. You could say I was wasting my time and feeling uncomfortable doing it. So I came back home and I talked with Pia, and we figured out that on average, patients spend 30 minutes in the waiting rooms of their family doctors before being called in for treatment. For specialists, the average waiting time is almost 40 minutes. Every German goes to the doctor about 17 times a year, which means that every German citizen spends about 8 hours a year in a waiting room. So nowadays you can track everything from your food delivery with Uber Eats to your flight departure. And that is why we thought there should be a better solution. So that's how we came up with Wait Later. Next slide.
Next slide. Yeah, so our solution is kind of like Michelle said, in terms of food delivery, to become the Uber Eats of doctor's appointments. So we want to provide an application that schedules your doctor's appointment and tracks it down, and actually runs the whole process of doctor's appointments in a just-in-time manner. So only when you really can go into the treatment room, you are notified by the application that you can come in now, and you can spend your time waiting outside and doing something more efficient. Next slide, please. So in terms of B2B, because our customers are on the one hand the doctors and the patients as well. So for the doctors, they can reduce overcrowded waiting rooms. They can increase their staff productivity and efficiency. They can increase their customer satisfaction or patient satisfaction, as we hope. And of course, they can also gain valuable insights through this application, because it also can track a lot of more information. Next slide. Yeah, so in terms of the B2C, the patients, what's the main benefit? You can use your time more efficient and productive. And in terms of Corona, this is actually even accelerated. You don't have to worry about getting infected by other sick people that are waiting with you in this sticky room. And yeah, we will solve this by providing you with the application to avoid waiting rooms like that. Next slide, please.
So the revenue streams are probably the most interesting part about the slides. We will have two different ones. For B2B, we will charge a fixed monthly fee, while for the B2C segment, two options can be chosen from, the basic and the premium version. And lastly, once our app has been successfully established, we will publish selected ads on our application. Next.
Yeah, in terms of our target market, we thought about the early adopters for both segments. So for the B2C, it needs to be we thought about young professionals because they need to be very worried about time, about wasting time. At the same time, they need to be used to using their application for many daily issues, because if you're not used to using an app, for example, people that are much older, they will not engage in this application process. So we created some personalities, but basically, yeah, those are people that are working a lot, but trying to make work and the work and life balance work, and really don't want anything, any time wasting. And the B2B, so our doctors, that's also very interesting for us, and that's something we're going to get some more research in. But for us, we will focus, of course, the doctors need to have a certain mindset. They have an archaic system right now on how to make their doctor's appointments right now. And they need to be willing to engage in this innovation, they need to be willing to engage in digitalization. And we will focus on metropoles in Germany, because we found out that Germany is the country with the most doctor's appointments in Europe, and focus on areas like general or gynecologists, because those provide regular doctor's visits. Next slide, please.
Since the disruption in the e-health market in Germany is only progressing very slowly, the competitive rivalry is still very low. So here on the slide, you can see our main competitors, and they all have different USPs. So for example, Doctolib only includes the online appointment booking function, but not the actual tracking part. And of course, there are also archaic systems, which can be seen on the left side. Next slide. And the e-health market has a huge potential and is expected to grow worldwide to 155 billion euros. That is 38 billion euros in Germany alone. This leads to an estimated growth of 21% by 2025. Next slide. We have also calculated both our CAC and LTV for a period of 6 months. Later on, we will switch to a quarterly calculation. And based on those numbers, we end up with a CAC LTV ratio, which is 3 times higher than our actual CAC, which is quite beneficial for our firm. Next.
Yeah, in terms of the timeline, so other than, I think, some of the projects we heard before, we are really at the very beginning. So we just came up with the idea like a couple weeks ago. And right now, the first step that we are going to take is to actually prove that the problem we identified is real. So we are currently already interviewing some doctors and talking with them about the problem. And for now, we have received some positive feedback. But that's what we're going to do first. Then we are going to focus on the B2C. So also validate that the patients are actually interested in this application. Furthermore, after validating that the problem is real, we are going to go back to the doctors and work on, we think, the big part. So actually creating the software, the application, and how can we make this system work, which we think will, of course, be very difficult. But yeah, that's the main part. Yeah, and yeah, then at some point the app creation, of course, and then the trials. Next slide, please. Yeah, so that's Michelle and me. We're both studying at Católica currently. We both have some experiences in different areas. Next slide, please. Yeah, in terms of funding, we are not quite sure about this yet. We have to be honest. We just thought about it for now. What can we do? We thought about some crowdfunding ideas, equity funding, family and friends, of course, and we hope to find an angel investor. But as we said, we don't have specific numbers so far. Next slide, please. Thank you so much for your attention. We're really happy to be here in this very early stage. And yes, thank you.
Great, fantastic. So let's have the questions then. I have one immediate. Well, actually, I have one comment and one question immediately for you. I had never seen the German health system described so well as in your presentation. Thank you very much for them. It's really impressive. The amount of doctors and the other numbers that you put forward are really enlightening, at least for me. So thanks for that. That was a real lesson. The other comment that I would have for you is get a business angel because he'll help you work out the funding as well. So get a good business angel in, or a few good mentors in, and you'll be able to sort your way through the thing. Nevertheless, congrats for having the nerve to stand up to your ideas and put it out there and chasing it. So any questions from the forum, please? Gonzalo asks, 17 times per year in the doctor in Germany.
Yeah, exactly, for the German market. And we figured out reasons for this is actually the German insurance system, because they cover quite a lot. And that's why we also said we want to target the German market first, because it's our home base actually. And we know that the mentality between Germans and Portuguese doctors is different as well. And that's why we go to the German market first.
Great answer. It's an incentives game in the end. So if you have the incentive to go to the doctor and work proactively, no need to then go and get cured about something. More comments, please. Pierre, anything from your side?
Yes, great presentation. Thanks for the insights on this market. I think in terms of the presentation, the needs of the patients have been well identified. I think the hard part on your side will be really, and you're starting with that first, which is good, the part of the doctors, okay, and to see, you know, if it's not a burden to add to these guys a new application, etc. I don't have the data, but I think some doctors may be interested to have that as a differentiator, you know, as a service that they provide to a specific kind of patient. So I think it's good that you get into the doctor and trying to understand that, because I think this is where it's going to hurt. For all of us here, I think we want to save time and we want to be less in waiting rooms. Let's hear now from the doctors. So thanks.
Yes.
Very quick question from Sylvia as well, very quickly, because we need to move on. Do you want to put out the question yourself, Sylvia?
Yes,
well,
thank you. Sorry for that. I did not understand exactly what was your ambition. If you were planning to go into the visit scheduling part too, or you just stick with managing the wait?
Both. We want to provide like a complete solution. So on the one hand, you can actually schedule your doctor's appointment over the application, and then in the next step, once it's the time, it's tracked down. So you don't, like, you have to be close to the doctor, like a few minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that, in the area of your doctor before, and then the application tells you when you can actually come in. So you have everything in there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great, so now we move on to Worky.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So thanks. So who do we have on stage now from Worky?
It's me. I'm covering the team.
Hi, Jonas. So the floor is yours.
So be patient, as I'm totally alone today. So let's go. Dear angels, I'm Jonas, and my journey with Worky has started last year when my friend Daniel, a craftsman, struggled to find a new job, but there were no professional networks for crafters online. Next. So we started our own research, and we realized the lack of opportunities for the online job search in the craftsman industry. In consequence, we conducted our first interview round with craftsmen. First, we found out there was no online platform for the craftsman community. Second, not only Daniel and I recognized the lack of digitization in the craftsman labor market. Next, also 80% interview craftsmen were looking for a solution to present themselves online. And third, many craftsmen complained about the lack of transparency and information given in their industry. Next. So based on these insights, we came up with our core concept of Worky, a social network for the craftsman industry. We conducted an A/B testing using landing pages that gave us proof to follow our value proposition to build a LinkedIn for crafters and thus digitize the industry's labor market by creating a powerful community. Next. We conducted 40 more interviews to collect opinions about our mentioned idea. This time, we also included craftsman enterprises. Surprisingly, all interviews reported that it's a way harder for craftsman enterprises to find the right employee than vice versa. So we realized that craftsmen would love to use our service, but would not pay for it. In consequence, we had to pivot our business model. Worky became a free service for crafters and a freemium subscription model for enterprises. Next. We initially planned to focus on all these 6 attributes, but quickly learned that less is more. Since a large majority of craftsmen mentioned that they would not use online learning solutions, we excluded it from the revenue streams. In contrast, 88% of interviews mentioned that a particular focus on the craftsman industry is crucial for them in order to join a professional network. For more than 2/3, an easy access to the industry's labor market was the most important feature. And even 100% are seeking for a better advanced access to industry and company-related information. So we moved these 3 attributes to the heart of Worky's value proposition. Next. To the market size. We decided to start Worky in the ASG region due to its large market size of 7.6 million potential users. Based on our findings, Worky aims to gain an average market share of around 5% after 3 years among both segments. This results in potential revenues of approximately 9.2 million euro per year due to the revenues from premium subscriptions and advertisements. Next. So our secret sauce, based on the conservative industry, which is full of tradition, our strategy is not to disruption it without its stakeholders. We want to help them and not dumping their industry. Thus, we want to work closely together with companies that are having a trustful relationship within the industry. Next. Regarding the marketing, we assume that our early adopters might be found on already existing social networks. Thus, we tested it and launched a Facebook campaign which almost reached 3,000 potential users. Furthermore, we plan to present Worky on industry fairs. Next. To the roadmap. With you, we want to take Worky to the next level. An investment will be actually used for hiring web developers and building a beta version of Worky. We are excited to launch our beta to constantly collect feedback from a larger group of early adopters. And after 3 months of constant improvement, we will publish our operating platform. Next. Since social networks are a winner-takes-it-all field and hard to conquer, we will spend every penny we earn on user growth and product development. The left chart shows that Worky will be able to generate positive cash flows in the second half of year 3, while the user growth already indicates the S-curve model. The right chart shows that Worky will be able to achieve a LTV-CAC ratio of almost 2 due to the scaling effects of marketing expenses after 3 years. Next. We are a team of ambitious students. For example, I have found my first startup with 17 and worked as an expansion manager for 2 years before my master degree. The team burns for Worky, and we would need an angel to get expertise in terms of funding and IT contacts in order to build a holistic team and help together the craftsman industry make the step into digital age. Many thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jonas.
Nice presentation, and a great one, if I may say. Questions, please. Maybe while the questions come in, you could say, where are you exactly in the project? So you've done the research. Do you have any sort of product put together?
Pardon, again?
So you've done the research, obviously you've done the figuring, and that's fine. Do you have any product put together at this point that you're beginning to show to customers and all?
We just created in the Lean Entrepreneurship course, an MVP, which we promoted via our Facebook campaign and got the first subscribers on our for our landing pages, which were quite small. And I think we have to adjust the target group, but the conversion rate was around like 0.4%, but it was not really targeted. So we reached 3,000 users, but I think not like the group we wanted to reach.
Okay, so we've got a question as well. Are craftsmen very social media oriented? So thinking about the competitors, we are looking on LinkedIn, which is not fitting for crafters, Indeed, posting jobs,
and Facebook. So I think more than 80% of the crafters we have interviewed are using social media platforms. So Facebook for their personal profile, but also vice versa, enterprises have a company page on Facebook. So more than 80% of the people we've interviewed are on social media channels.
Okay, and does this work like some sort of job vehicle for people who are craftsmen and that are looking for work as
Yes,
well?
so it works like LinkedIn. It has many options, and the network will also be beneficial for the job search. So first of all, we want to create like a LinkedIn a profile that allows the crafters to show their skills, show their projects, and on the other side also, for example, strengthen corporate identity. So small crafters enterprises can set up an account, can link to their employees, and also can just in-mail other crafters if they are looking for employees. So, and this does not happen in the craftsman industry. It's not digitized in terms of competition. Nobody knows what their value is, and there's no competition with regards to attracting people or crafters from other companies, for example.
Great. Any more questions, please? What is the roadmap and milestones for the near future?
So as we are a team of management students, we are lacking definitely in IT know-how. Thus, we want to have a more advanced MVP, which is actually now created. It's just a landing page with a subscription for our beta model. But the next step would be developing a beta model and have the first MVP where people actually can sign in and create their account. So this would be the next big step.
Okay. Any more questions? Pierre, do you have anything from your side?
Yes, thanks, Jonas, for the presentation. In terms of, just to confirm, is you've been pivoting at the, because you thought that the relationship between the craftsman and the people like me that would be eventually looking for a job, for some work, was not the right thing. So you've been doing now between companies and craftsmen, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And the pivot we had before, so we're addressing the B2C and B2B market. And before we had a freemium model for both. But in our interviews, we saw that the crafters won't pay for it, but they like to use it. So we thought about, okay, what should we do? And then we're now just focusing on the crafters enterprises and offer them a freemium model. But I think like it's a chicken egg problem, as it's a platform which is multi-sided, and we want to attract as many crafters as possible with a free version and let the craftsmen enterprises pay for it.
Okay, thanks. Does that mean that you're not going to be in the middle? You're not going to charge any percentage of the contract value of all the work? It's going to be subscription based for the enterprise and free from the crafters, correct?
Yes, and additionally, we have the revenue stream of advertisement, which should be pretty interesting for companies as it's super targeted.
Okay, thanks, yes.
Yeah, any more questions? Well, so I think we're on time as well. So if there are no more questions, so this is the time where the networking would start and we would hit the bar. As such, we're going to sort of try and make a virtual bar here. One of the things that I've been talking to Pierre is that as soon as Corona allows it, we will put together the networking parts in person. So we can actually do this. And that's a big promise. That's a very big promise for all of you. I think it went very well. We're going to open up the microphones now. And if anybody wants to jump in, ask questions, whatever, we'll try to put some order into it. But if anybody wants to do that, you're more than welcome. We still have a lot of people logged in. That's really fantastic from all of you still online. Pierre, can you unmute everybody? Let's see how this goes then.
Yeah, you guys can unmute yourself. So the ones that are willing to speak can go wild and can ask questions. Everyone can go unmute. So please.
The floor is yours. Who wants to start?
I can start, I think.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much for the opportunity you gave us. I have a question because now we reach a point that we really want to go forward with Mango Up. I'm part of Mango Up, by the way, and so we will have to raise money at some point, and it would be extremely useful for us to understand a bit more the requirements investors like you have in order to invest their money. Some basic requirements, maybe, I don't know, like the legal part of the company, of course, but some other requirements as well. If you have anything to tell us about that, it would be super useful.
Any of the investors who are currently watching wants to answer Nicola? Sylvia, do you want to say something?
Well, I didn't want to take the stage because I've been talking to Mango Up privately and kind of mentoring them. So I would leave a little bit of space for other points of view. But if nobody wants to jump in.
Who wants to jump in, please? I can do it myself as well. I understand that Sylvia does not want to be in on this. So if nobody else does it, I'll do it myself. So there's a couple of things. It's really easy. There's nothing weird about this. The first one, it's the idea, which then connects to the market. Okay. So is it scalable? That's the big question. Are you solving a problem which leads to a market that can be big enough? And can you scale with leverage typically from technology or from some other thing that would allow you to make your products cost cheaper as you get more customers? Okay. Even better, if you can turn your market into a blue ocean instead of a Red Sea. So there's an interesting book. It's a classic, and it basically tells you that whenever you get into a Red Sea, that means that it's a very competitive market, and you end up fighting all the competitors, and price goes down. If, on the other hand, you create a blue ocean, then that means you're completely alone, and nobody will bother you. Okay, so that's the first thing. Is the problem that you're solving interesting enough, and does it lead to a blue ocean market that you can really scale? And the other thing is, are you the right guys to do this at this stage? Because the name of the game is execution. And what people are usually looking for is this the right team? Do they have the right skills? Do they have the right dynamics to make sure that they can do this? Because the execution, it's the difference between life and death. Right? Anybody wants to add anything?
So I can add, just,
Please.
I don't want to look lazy. I just wanted to give room to other points of views. But I totally agree with what you said, but I would also add something that is very particular to investors, which is, I mean, investors want to know how they are going to get their money back. So they will right away, while they are evaluating your project, they are already thinking, how am I going to exit this investment? So when you think about a growth strategy, and if you're looking for outside investment, It's important that you understand this mindset and that you think who could be your next investor after this first one. Do you see? So, I mean, it could be other professional investors, or it could be like a strategic partner, somebody in the industry that buys you out. It can be many, many things, but this is something that many times is the key issue in invest, don't invest decision.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good question. Anything else? Anybody else wants to jump in?
I have a question.
Please.
Regarding also the question which came up, as we are a team of management students, we are absolutely lacking in know-how of IT, web development, etc., etc. How would you proceed? Would you have another co-founder in your team, or try to bootstrap as much as possible and develop the website or the MVP externally?
Well, I've got an immediate suggestion for you. Go to MangoUp.
We're also looking for a website developer right now, actually.
Yeah, we have the same problem right now.
We're facing the same problem.
Well, you can go to Worky. They have craftsmen. Why not website designers?
But I think this is very interesting, Jonas, your question, especially we have MangoUp is, and for the audience here, most of our students have brilliant ideas and, you know, they want to move forward, but they're hitting the wall when it comes to sometimes to technology. And it's difficult for them to team up or to find people to help them out, which is also a point for MangoUp, you know, bridging, you know, the different competencies. And this is the reason why also this event is very important for them, because they're able, you know, to reach out to other kind of people. But this is really something that is difficult for them, is getting additional skill besides the management skills that they have. So Jonas is asking something that actually a lot of students are facing.
Yeah, and if I may add, Sylvia again, I would basically look at it, you know, both alternatives have pros and cons. You can do two things. You can look for a co-founder and you gain in flexibility, in control of the actual creative process. And in the beginning, you even gain in terms of the cost, because if you get a co-founder, it's probably someone who is willing to go with you and earn not so much investing time, investing a lot of work. So, I mean, it might look like you save money if you go for a co-founder. But the cons are that you may, in the rush and in this willingness of looking for your tech solution, you might not make the good decision in terms of evaluating if this is really a good fit, this person with your co-founding team. So the interpersonal skills are very, very important at this early stage of a startup. And let me tell you that many startups fail because the teams break up. So you have pros and cons. The alternative is really to just buy the technology. So you buy time of somebody who knows how to build what you want to build. And then you launch, and then you find somebody that will be your chief technology officer and not really a co-founder. You see? So you have two approaches, and both of them have pros and cons. My main message here is do not rush into partnering with someone you don't know very well, because that could be really your Achilles heel in terms of your startup success.
I have also a way to look at this, which is quite simple, which is if what you're looking for is core for your business, it should be internal. Okay. If you can buy it, from a third party and it's not core, it'll be the cheapest money that you will ever spend. You see where I'm getting at? It's not core, that's fine. It's not within your control, then you go out and buy the service. And that's it. I mean, you behave like a customer, you demand the quality that you want and that you have paid, and that's it. If it's core, it's a different conversation. Okay? If you need to have control on what's going to happen, then usually you want to have it internally. Okay? But the world is not black and white, it's shades of gray. So there's not exactly a right answer to this sort of thing. But one of the things that it's a very good sign, for example, is if you're able to hire somebody to your team. Hire or recruit, whatever you want to do. So if you need a co-founder that's a specialist in technology, it's a very good sign if you go out and if you actually are able to get that person to come on board. That means that your project was good enough for that person to actually feel challenged about it and to come on board. That's a very nice sign. If not, I'm seeing Bertrand, for example. He's over there in attending this live event. Bertrand is a specialist in finding skills for startups. You can reach out to him. And there's tons of service providers that can do that. Right, Bertrand?
Let me just put my micro on. Yes, right, Pedro. Thanks for our introduction. Yeah, we are specializing in this kind of field to find profile, especially for startup and big company in digital field.
So there you have it, a way of solving your problem.
To find
thanks.
The main problem in this field is the time. I will say to you that we need a lot of time to find one profile. So that's why we exist, I will say, because we consecrated all our time to look after profile and to find them. And I think it's sometimes why some startup didn't succeed by having some profile, because they are so concentrated on products, so concentrated on the finding fund that they have no time for recruitment. And no, I can say to, I think it's Nicolas, that a lot of investors now is looking also for the capacity to build technical teams. Because you can have the best idea of the world, you can have the best idea, I mean, in terms of product, if you have no team to develop, to construct your application, you will not succeed. So it's sometimes one of the some things that investor wants to be sure before investing in company.
Okay. Great, Bertrand. Merci.
De rien.
Merci.
À bientôt.
May I introduce something also here?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been involved in quite a number of startups, and I've seen a lot of different possibilities, and some have been successful, others not, and the same has been successful with one team and not with another. So, but one of the major problems is to align the interests of the startup with the technology person, company, and so forth. That's a major concern. So the formula that we have found is first, never get something done specifically for your startup. Maybe you need to shop to 2 or 3 different IT entities and get things off the shelf that can be used by anybody, and not just a specific company that has all the code, the inner code of your site. Otherwise, you know, if that's the case, and I had a startup, we had that problem, and you know, for a number of years we had to live with paying to those guys because they had, you know, the key. And then we decided to change everything and use off-the-shelf components from different sources, and that worked much better. That company still exists, and it's profitable, and it's a travel company. Another idea is to have a success fee which can be in equity, and that we have also used that formula, so that we don't have the huge expenses of the IT component, which is really probably IT and marketing will be your two key expenses in the beginning. And so we have used that, say, okay, we will pay you something, but the big carrot at the end is when this is successful, to have a percentage of the company. So these are just some comments about my personal experience with the IT and startups well, there's another possibility, which is the one that we were discussing, which is to tie up with someone from a technical university about your age, about your interests. And a lot of those people have the same problem, but in an opposite direction. They have a lot of IT skills, but they know nothing about business. So sometimes they are eager. And I know one startup now that incorporated in Berlin, Germany, and they used people from the Portuguese technical university for their beta model. So don't be fixed on one model, but try to align the interests of the IT component with your interests, the interests of the startup. That's it.
Great. Any more comments, questions from the audience?
Thanks. I can just add that it's exactly what we want to do. Does it work? Yeah. That's exactly what we want to do with partnership with Technico, so that we could be our own proof of concept of Mongo Up. So that's good.
Right. Fantastic. So I think, well, if there aren't any other questions, so I think maybe we could close this. The bridges are done, in the sense that the lines of communication are open. There's a big promise in the air, which will be honored.
I'm almost gone with mine.
Yeah, we will get there.
Right there. Very good, excellent. Oh,
we will do it. Don't worry. It seems like it's going away quickly. We will do it, and that will be the second part of this event. I want to tell you all that it's been a fantastic experience. I've liked a lot myself. I don't know about the others and what your opinion is, but I think the format works very well. It was very pleasant. It's not as good as the real thing, unfortunately, but I think it's pretty much. So I'm very happy. Thank you all very much. Congratulations to the 4 startups. It has been incredible. And I always get a lot of energy from these types of things, and to understand exactly what is going on around universities and all of that. I feed on that energy. So it's something which is very personal to me, and it's very rewarding. And it pays for all the work that it gives to put together these things. A big thank you to Pierre, Céline, and Sylvia, and Universidade Católica, and BAUC, and the Center for Technology and Innovation and Entrepreneurship. So I will say that we will definitely do this again. The second part is promised, as I was telling you. Thank you very much on behalf of APBA. Pierre, do you want to say anything just before we part?
I would like to thank APBA. I would like to thank especially all the participants that came in today and shared, their journey, the 4 startup, and also all the people that provided comments. It's very, very important for all the startups that presented today that they get into the ecosystem and they get to know you. You all have a lot of experience to share, and this is something that all these startups are looking for. So please, if one thing I would like to ask is if they're going forward and trying to meet you or ask, you know, for time of yours, I think it would be super nice. You guys are available, because that's the way they're gonna fast forward, and they're gonna get into, the experience that you have, and you available to share. That's also the purpose of the Business Angels, to look around for, you know, new ideas and new ventures. Some of the teams that you've heard today are really interested in moving forward. So thanks for being here. And if you have time and willingness, I would love you be able to touch base with them a little bit more.
Okay.
Thanks.
Final thank you for the APBA team, and I'm seeing two of them online, which is Teresa, Catarina, and there's also Maria Vitoria, which are always incredible with this type of things, and they stand behind the organization and they put it together, and they call and they arrange and they do and they fix and so on and so forth. So let's give them a big round of applause, and to Pierre and everybody who was involved in the organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. It was great to have all these projects, high quality of projects. It was great. Thanks, Pierre, Sylvia, that we know already very well, and Pedro, that is the head of these Angels at Work. So thank you, and we expect to have more sessions like this online. Thank you very much.
Great. The promise is done. Respectful of your time. Thank you very much. Take care. Have a great evening and a couple of days off.
So
And you
thank
too.
you. Bye.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
To all.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.